So I have some interesting news in the 2020 conversation. Former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz reportedly thinking seriously about 2020 run as an independent. Oh boy. So this guy, he just set up his Twitter account. He is one of these guys who is just insanely narcissistic, and he wants to ride in on his white horse and save the country and save the civilization. He reminds me a lot of Bloomberg in the sense that Bloomberg and Schultz both think they can basically buy themselves an election and buy themselves the presidency, and then they get to, be adored by the hordes of people in this country who need a kind, gentle billionaire to save them from the bad billionaire. And you want to talk about misreading the room, because his whole thing was, I'm considering running for 2020 as a centrist candidate. Like he said, I want to run as a centrist candidate. When he tweeted this, it was an endless fucking cadre of shitting on him in the replies. I was laughing my ass off as I read the replies, because everybody was basically like, fuck you. Nobody asked for this. Nobody likes you. That you're doing a billionaire vanity project like the piece of shit that you are. And it gave me life when I saw that. So, now, why is this really relevant? Because he's going to get 6 votes. I really think he is. He's going to get destroyed. But this is relevant because now Democrats have their own Kasich. So John Kasich was considering I might run against Trump. Originally, he was thinking in the Republican primary. Cooler heads prevailed when he realized he would get curb stomped in a way that's hilarious if he ran against Trump in a Republican primary. So then he was kind of floating the idea of, hey, maybe I'll run as an independent, myself and the breakfast cereal, John Hickenlooper, Kasich, Hickenloopers 2020, and we think on a unity ticket we could win. And so the idea was with Kasich, he would also get 6 votes if he ran as an independent, but he would pull those 6 votes from the right, which would hurt Trump. So even if, let's say, Kasich only pulled in 2% from Trump, from the right, that's enough to tank the election from Trump and pull it from Trump and end up giving it to the Democrat. Now, on the flip side, Schultz, he would pull more from the Democrats. Now, again, don't get me wrong, he'd get 6 votes. But let's assume for argument's sake he gets 2%. Is that 2% theoretically enough to maybe pull it from the Democrat? The answer is yes. And he's actually very clear, I would only really want to run if it's a lefty that ends up winning the Democratic primary. And it's most likely going to be, because we know the mood of the country, we know the mood of the party, we know that we're not fucking around anymore, we want real answers to real problems. And so if it's Elizabeth Warren, or if it's Bernie Sanders, or if it's Tulsi Gabbard, he'll probably run. And he wouldn't feel bad at all about it. I'll just jack, 2% from the left, and then that might turn the election over to Trump. So here's what I hope happens. Either Schultz doesn't run and Kasich doesn't run, or Kasich runs and Schultz runs, or just Kasich runs. So you wouldn't have to worry if neither of them run. You wouldn't have to worry if both of them run. But would you have to worry a little bit if it's just Schultz running and Kasich doesn't run on the Republican side? Yeah, you'd have to worry a little bit. Now, I'm not going to shame him for hopping in the race because it's a democracy. However, this is functionally more like an oligarchy, man, because the only reason anybody's even fucking talking about him is because he's massively, massively ultra wealthy and he's buying positive press. He was on 60 Minutes the other night. Fuck you doing on 60 Minutes? Who are you? You're a CEO who fucking created Starbucks. Wow, you sell overpriced coffee. What a fucking genius. He's buying his way into the room, and that's what pisses me off. Not that he doesn't really believe in his ideology. I think he probably does. I think he probably is a goofy centrist. But he bought his way into the conversation the same way Bloomberg did. Nobody would give a second look at Bloomberg if he was a regular dude. Are you kidding me? The dude he banned large sodas in New York. He's pro stop and frisk, even though every objective study says it's unconstitutional and it cracks down on poor people of color for no reason, when 99% of the time you get the wrong people. 99% of the time you don't get anything out of the stop and frisk. So he bought his way into the conversation. That's what pisses me off, is that he's just trying to buy himself an election, buy himself a country. And in the process might really fuck shit up. Now, I have an answer, though. So what you're seeing now is you're going to see a lot of See, this is an area where it's funny because the left and establishment Democrats, like centrists, we're actually now in agreement. And we're all going to be dunking on Howard Schultz. Because let's say you're a centrist-minded Democrat and you want, whatever, Beto O'Rourke 2020, or you want Cory Booker 2020. You also are going to be like, hey, Howard Schultz, what the fuck are you doing? You're going to run as an independent? You're going to jack some votes from the Democrats? What are you doing? So what you see is this weird temporary alliance between centrist-minded Democrats, donut Twitter, and flower Twitter, left Twitter, where we're all like, okay, fuck this guy Schultz, and we're all going to dunk on him. And that's a wonderful show. You found one of the only things that gets us to unify. But here's the solution, by the way, and we all should agree to this solution. We could fix this. You know how you fix it? Ranked choice voting. So if you have ranked choice voting, doesn't matter. Let fucking Schultz run, let Kasich run, let fucking anybody run. And by the way, just to go back to the point about Bloomberg and Schultz for a second, Richard Ojeda announced as a Democrat. He got less coverage than Howard Schultz and Bloomberg, and they haven't even announced yet. And Ojeda, who now dropped out because he realized he's not going to go anywhere because he has no fucking coverage because the media is fucking biased as shit. But he announced and he got less coverage than fucking Bloomberg and Schultz. Why? Bloomberg and Schultz are rich as fuck and they buy their way into the conversation. But if you have ranked choice voting, you don't have to worry about any even potential idea of a spoiler. You just don't. Because you have ranked choice voting, so you could say, hey, my number one in the last election, Jill Stein. Number two, Hillary. Number three, Gary Johnson. Number four, Trump. We're good to go. So now you're going to see a lot of people, part of the establishment, who maybe understand the wisdom of ranked choice voting now, because fucking Howard Schultz might throw the Democrat away from the Democrat and give it to Trump, might throw the election away from the Democrat and give it to Trump, and they're going to go, oh shit, we need to do something to fix this. Well, yeah, we've been screaming about this for fucking years, the left has. Because every time they try to voter shame, or they try to, democracy shame Jill Stein, or they try to democracy shame Gary Johnson, we're like, why don't you just fix this then if you're concerned about the idea of a spoiler? And just have ranked choice voting. Well, now they're going to see, oh shit, maybe that makes sense. So yes, just do ranked choice voting and we won't even have to worry about this dipshit. But there is going to be a slight concern now because if he runs and Kasich doesn't, then yeah, maybe 2% of the vote goes away from whatever Democrat to Howard Schultz, and that could be an issue. So, by the way, final thing about Howard Schultz. In that 60 Minutes interview, here's one of the things he said. He says, I spent a lot of time worrying about poverty and healthcare. He's one of these guys who's like, oh, I like black people and gay people, so I'm not an evil bigot. But then in the next sentence, he's also like, and we need to totally get rid of this national debt, which, by the way, is impossible and shows that he doesn't really know how the national debt works. And he pretends like he knows economics, but he doesn't, and he's a deficit scold. But he says this, quote, what the Democrats are proposing is something that is as false as the wall, and that is free healthcare for all, which the country cannot afford. Strike one, you're out. Ain't no 2 and 3, bitch. Strike one, you're out. Why? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Every developed country has one version or another of a single-payer system, a free healthcare system, tax-funded healthcare system, free at the point of service. And you're saying, oh, we can't afford it. We can't afford not to have it. Medicare for all would cost, even according to the right-wing libertarian Mercatus Institute, Medicare for all costs $32 trillion over the next 10 years. If we keep our system the same as it is now, it's $34 trillion. You save $2 trillion when you move to Medicare for all. We can't afford not to do it, dipshit. And that's even a right-wing study. A left-wing study, or not even a left-wing study, a more objective study found that Medicare for all saves $5 trillion over 10 years. So come the fuck on, man. You can't say shit like that. I mean, look at that. Democrats are proposing something as false as the wall. Universal health care, which every other developed country has, and it works wonderfully in. This is the bullshit. Both sides are equally extreme. I mean, these guys want people to go to college, and these guys want to kick out Mexicans. Equally extreme. What are you going to say? Equally extreme. Or perhaps you're a fucking idiot, and you're massively out of touch, and you need to go mind your business and swim in your own giant pool of cash.